Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm not Coco.
And I'm not Daltz.
And Coco and Daltz, we review movies, we review books, we review Netflix. We do a lot of reviewing. We're real people, and we do real reviews.
Because we're clever. Because
we are, and we're also phonetically correct.
Which nobody cares about except us. Because
right.
We're the English and journalism majors.
We are the writer types. So,
Which is why we're now doing a podcast that we're not getting paid for.
It's a logical career progression.
Don't follow in our footsteps, kids.
From getting underpaid to doing what we were doing before to getting underpaid what we're doing now.
Get your dreams crushed now before later when you're disappointed. As Will Ferrell said to a small child in his recent movie Eurovision Song Contest, which dropped on Netflix yesterday, which we are reviewing today.
Tell us about it, Coco. What is the summary of the plot of this movie?
So, Eurovision Song Contest is about Lars and Sigrid, played by Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams. They are from a small village in Iceland, and ever since Lars was a little kid, he wanted to win the Eurovision Song Contest, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's a song contest in which each European...
Is it like The Voice or like America's Got Talent? Or
Yeah, it's something like that, except they're playing for national pride. Like each country has one act that they submit, and then...
Oh, it's like the World Cup of music.
Yes, exactly.
Why you got to be all nationalistic, Europe?
I mean, well, yeah. And it's... I've seen it a few times. I know there are places here in the States where you can watch it, or you could probably stream it online at this point. But I lived in Europe a couple times in the 90s, and I watched it, and it's extremely cheesy. I don't think the way it was portrayed in the movie was really too far off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was pretty accurate.
It was pretty accurate.
Because the cheese factor was high in that movie.
It could have turned a little bit more serious. Like, I mean, you can definitely tell the people who are in it to win it because they actually have serious, like, songs with uplifting messages and stuff. And then you have, like, the Eastern Euro, EDM, like, dance people who
wearing their expensive jeans on stage.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, Lars's dream since he was a little kid was to win this thing.
After seeing ABBA in the 1974 version of the Euro Song Contest.
I mean, can you blame him? Waterloo is a great song.
Right.
And
oh, by the way, the other person who is of fame who has emerged from that, Celine Dion.
Oh, did she sing for France?
No, France? She's Canadian.
Well, yeah, but it's the Eurovision Song Contest.
I don't know how that worked.
All right. Well, so anyway, back to the summary. So through a series of shenanigans, Lars and Sigrid end up representing Iceland in the Eurovision Song Contest, which takes place in Edinburgh. And a lot of the movie is kind of dedicated to... Sigrid is in love with him and she wants to get with him, but he's just dedicated to his dream. And so it's partially a love story, but also partially their what they get up to when they're in Edinburgh for the song contest. And then they do make it to the finals of the song contest. And then after that, it's a very short denouement after you find out whether they won or not. And
did you mention that they represent Iceland?
I did say that. And if you are interested in more Icelandic series, we reviewed the Valhalla Murders, which is a limited series also available on Netflix. Check it out, probably around episode 50-55. Go back in our library and listen to that. It's a much different vibe than the Eurovision Song Contest.
Although I must say that the two things that I've learned from, well, the one thing I've learned from two of these viewings, so watching Valhalla Murders and also watching the Eurovision Song Contest, is that there's a lot of murder in Iceland, apparently. So watching the crime show, you sort of expect it. But in this one, there's like a boat that blows up and kills all the Icelandic contestants for the contest. And so that's how Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams end up going there. Their band is so terrible. Their band is called Fire Saga. Of course it is. And actually the full title of this movie is
Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga.
Which is kind of redundant when you think of story and saga being in the same sentence. So I think that's probably intentional. And as with all of Will Ferrell's good movies, it has a colon in the title. So the Talladega Nights Ricky Bobby story, or Ballad of Ricky Bobby, has a colon in it. And Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. His two best movies, arguably. This is not in that category.
So tell me what you think about it.
So I was going there.
Okay.
Is that it's fine. I think so. Here's the background, listener. This is why we watched this movie, is because we were looking for something lighter to watch. We've been watching a lot of Star Wars movies, watching a lot of crime movies, and oh, by the way, global pandemic. So we needed something a little bit lighter, and comedy is a good way to do that. And Will Ferrell is a better way to do that, I think.
And it just got released yesterday,
Yep.
so we were like,
Friday.
oh, this is perfect. Like
Yep.
we can just hop on it the day it comes out, and then we can review it for you, because we were in the middle of a 3-episode mini-series on reviewing the 3 Star Wars trilogies, and the 3rd trilogy is so bad that we were like, yeah, let's kind of put that off and review.
We will still do that, but
We're still going to do it, but just not today.
I think we both
obviously.
needed a palate cleanser from
definitely.
that, and this is definitely a palate cleanser. Will Ferrell's character is over the top. You can just imagine what he would be in portraying an Icelandic singer. Like you imagine that, and then you've got that. It's sort of like his dodgeball character, I believe. And there's a couple of movies that he was in where he was this extreme. I'm trying to think of the fashion guy. Was that dodgeball that he was?
He was also. Was it Mugatu in Zoolander?
That's what I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
Zoolander. I knew it was a movie with Ben Stiller in it. So he's kind of like that character, only not as audacious, obviously. Rachel McAdams is charming and awesome and does a lot of her own singing in this, and it's mixed in the audio. I'm not just saying that because she's Canadian, but she's pretty charming. She's to me the shining light in this particular production. There's a lot of great little lines in it. There's a lot of laughs. It's not really anything that I'm going to go back and watch. It's not like an Anchorman or Ricky Bobby, Talladega Nights. Like, it's not one of those movies where I think, oh, Will Ferrell, I'm going to watch Eurovision Song Contest again. I don't think I'm going to watch it again, but it was a nice light little peppy ditty for, we're running out of new things to watch that are really exciting, and I think you can tell by you agreeing to watch a Will Ferrell movie. I think that's a big step there.
Well, I think I also kind of said I really need to watch something comedic, because I've been through a lot in the past month, and I just kind of needed something lighter. So yesterday morning I was crying, and I was like, can we watch the Will Ferrell movie tonight? Because I really need to watch something that's a palate cleanser. And Daltz got valuable relationship points by agreeing to do that. So thank you, Daltz.
And only in showing how great a person you are, Coco, is that you would offer up a Will Ferrell movie to a guy as, hey, can we watch this? And be like, yeah, we can watch this. Where you been? So what did you think, Coco?
I'm like you. I probably am not going to go back and watch it again, but I really liked it. It was definitely what I was looking for in terms of being light, not having to think about it a whole lot. There were some really solid laughs. I think the funniest part was when Lars was making fun of American tourists. Like, that was a motif that recurred 3 times throughout the movie, and every time I think that was the hardest time we laughed during the whole movie. So.
But did you notice that the Americans were the ones who ultimately saved the day?
Oh, that is
toward the end of the movie.
That is very true.
Yeah, redemption. There's a character arc even for the peripheral characters.
The star of the movie I thought was Dan Stevens.
Yes.
Formerly of Downton Abbey, who played the Russian contestant Alexander Lemtov.
He was a Russian George Michael is what he was.
He was hilarious.
Yeah.
He just committed to that role, and his looks and his accent and the characterization.
His gestures.
Like, everything was just so amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
I have actually never seen Downton Abbey except for like a few minutes here and there, so I don't really know much about him as an actor, but he was solid gold in this.
Yeah.
And Rachel, like, he was like the comedic heavyweight,
Yeah.
and then he stole every scene he was in, but then Rachel McAdams was like the heart of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, she's so good at everything she does. I wish she had kind of a better career than I wish she was
Right.
in more stuff than she's in, because she's good at comedy, she's good at physical comedy, she's good at drama,
She was good in Spotlight.
yeah, she was good in Spotlight. She's very versatile, so I enjoyed that a lot.
Yep.
So yeah, I really liked it. And it was just about 2 hours long, and it did not feel like that at all. Like, there weren't any parts where I was like, man, when are they going to wrap this thing up? Like, come on, let's get to the finals.
Which is
already,
long
so.
for a comedy. Usually comedies are about an hour and a half. Like, they're usually less than 2 hours.
Yeah, I was really surprised when we turned it off and I picked up my phone and I was like, oh my God, it's already 9 o'clock, because we started watching it pretty much right at 7. So
We are early watchers.
yeah, we are. So
what'd you think of Will Ferrell?
he was funny. I liked him.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell for me can be very hit or miss. Like, I either think he's really funny or I'm like, oh, okay, this has gone on too long. But because he wasn't the sole focus of the movie, like, because Rachel McAdams was like right up there with him in screen time, like I thought he did a good job. I thought he was funny without being too over the top and clowny. And then because he wasn't the focus, like, I thought that was good. I thought Pierce Brosnan, he also played Will Ferrell's
As
father.
the dad.
Yeah, perhaps Rachel McAdams' dad as well.
Running joke.
Yeah, he did a good job. So yeah. I enjoyed it. It was exactly what I was looking for. And
Good.
Maybe if there's ever a time when I'm having a really tough time and I need something light to watch, like, I'd go back to it. But
when I'm not available to do like my soft shoe impression in front of the TV, like da da da, or we can also just sing "Ya Ya Ding Dong."
That was a great song.
I had to get that reference into this podcast.
There was also one recurring joke where, so they're wedding singers, like, they just kind of play whatever gigs they can get in their little town, and because it's a little town,
And the
everybody
rowdy
knows
pub,
them, and
yeah.
they knows all their catalog. And there's one guy who at every gig is like, play Ya Ya Ding Dong, play Ya Ya Ding Dong, and he's like angry about it. He's not like the happy drunk guy who's like, yeah man, I love Ya Ya Ding Dong. He's like
Freebird. No,
right? No, he's gonna like throw a beer bottle on the stage.
He's
if
like
he does.
angry Icelandic guy, like big sort of burly, stereotypical beard and everything like that. He's like, play Ya Ya Ding Dong.
He is gonna kick some ass if he
Right.
does not hear Ya Ya Ding Dong.
So we hear a lot of Ya Ya Ding Dong in this, which is an Icelandic song apparently.
which is great because I that's probably the most memorable song from the
Well, that's
whole
what I
movie
said
for me.
when the movie ended. I said to you, didn't I? At the end, I said, "So what's the song that's going to stick with you from this movie?" And we paused, and it was like, Ya Ya Ding Dong. And so that's a way of saying that there's a lot of really elaborately produced and directed and sung songs in this. There's some of them are really campy intentionally. Some of them are very earnest and well-meaning because it's a bit of a musical comedy. Like they break out into song and stuff, and it's not what you think of as a Will Ferrell movie. So if you're going into this thinking that he's going to be running around in his underwear, pretending he's on fire on the track, like, it's not that kind of Will Ferrell movie, but it's about 2 steps back from that.
I mean, he does get to wear a lot of really tight, like, Viking
Unitards.
outfits and unitards that he stuffs with like a watermelon or something. So
Or like old newspapers. It didn't look like it was an appropriate representation of a man package. So, but I had sort of low to medium expectations going into this because I was thinking, well, Will Ferrell's best days have gone by. Like, he hasn't really done a lot of great stuff lately. And how can you really top, in fairness to him, how can you really top what I think is, his best stuff is Anchorman and Ricky Bobby, Talladega Nights. Those are 2 fantastic movies and great parodies and great satires of American culture as a whole. So how do you really top that? So I had kind of like, how's this going to go? And I was never really a fan of his work on Saturday Night Live. I thought he was kind of over the top and he was always yelling, and I didn't think it was funny.
He did a great George W. Bush impersonation.
He did actually. And that special that he did as George W. Bush, the stand-up that he did was really funny. So I had sort of low expectations, like I said, low to medium, but actually it was good. It was, he wasn't too, and he co-wrote it. So when you have something like that and you don't have somebody reining you in, you can be a little bit on the the over the top side. But he actually did a pretty good job of being, I wouldn't say subtle, but not as over the top as he could have been. And he was funny, and it was good to see him have his fastball back a little bit because his timing was good, and you can tell there was some improv that they went with that really resonated and they kept in the movie. And that's when, like, a lot of the best scenes from Anchorman and Talladega Nights are improv and just riffs with John C. Reilly or whoever it happens to be. And I think that you see a little bit of that with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams. They had really good chemistry together. Yeah. And I can tell there was a couple of moments there where they were just kind of riffing off each other.
Definitely.
And it looked like it was sincere, and Rachel McAdams is such a pro. She didn't like break character or anything like that. The one thing I will say about this movie, and it's not, we're not talking about the thespian awards or anything in this movie, but one of the things I found annoying was the breaking in and out of the accents. The accents were supposed to be Icelandic, and then sometimes it felt like it was Swedish, and then sometimes it felt like it was like there was one scene that I forgot that Will Ferrell had an accent because I didn't even really hear one. So it was almost like he was talking like he usually does in American. And there was a couple of other scenes like that where the character, other than there are a lot of legitimate Icelandic actors in this, we should say, and it's actually set in Iceland. It's not like Montreal pretending to be Reykjavik or anything like that. Like, it's actually in Iceland.
Remember when we could travel to Iceland and to Scotland? And
remember travel?
Yeah, I remember travel.
Wow.
Remember when you could just hop on a plane and go somewhere?
I do remember that. Those are fond days. But yeah, overall, other than a few minor complaints like that, I thought it was a decent little light Friday night viewing.
Yeah, I'll give it that. I liked it. There's solid laughs. The pacing was good. The plot held my interest. Like I said, Dan Stevens was a total star. Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams both did a great job. Like, yeah, I liked it.
And the thing about Dan Stevens was that he's kind of the de facto villain in this, but you like him so much that he doesn't really actually turn into a villain. Like at the end of the movie, there's some warmth, and you can tell that there's a conspiracy there in some way, shape, or form, but you're not sure. And of course, he's Russian, so then we're supposed to suspect him as a result of that. But actually, it's very charming all the way around. And the breaking out of the song is kind of random in some instances, but it works too. So I thought it was well done. I mean, I wouldn't give it like 18 dance kicks up or whatever we're rating this on, but it was a solid laugher. And
I am not a musical person at all.
What?
I know, right? Like, I am definitely not a fan of musicals. It just annoys me when people break out into song.
So I shouldn't be doing song show tunes or anything like that.
I mean,
around the house.
It's been 4 years, so that's really started to pile up and bring me down. But yeah, I mean, all the songs in this were basically in places where you would expect people to sing, like the song contest or at a wedding reception. There was only one time where people just spontaneously broke out into song.
At that party.
At that party, and that didn't even really annoy me too much. So the fact that this was, like you said, a musical comedy, and I wasn't like throwing my shoe at the TV, like, I think that says something.
High praise indeed from Coco.
Right, totally.
That's like no shoes. I guess that's the rating that gets. That's a no shoe movie.
Yeah. Speaking of like George W. Bush getting shoes thrown at him,
look
like,
at you.
I'm bringing it all back around.
Look at you with a throwback.
I know.
It's not even in the research notes that I have here. So nicely done, off the top of your head.
I'm bringing it.
Wow. So overall, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yeah, a good yay. I'd say a good solid yay, with the caveat of knowing what you're getting into. Mm-hmm. Some of the online reviews, I think, have been, this Will Ferrell movie is a satire and it's very spoofy, and I wasn't happy with it. It's like, well, it's a Will Ferrell movie.
Right.
So as long as you know that going in, you're not going to be getting like Tom Hanks moving from Big to Philadelphia. Like, it's not that kind of transition.
Yeah.
So know what you're getting into, and it's all good.
Right. It is what it is. Like, exactly.
It is what it is. So, Coco, do you want to close this out by telling people where we can be found?
Yes. So if you want to drop us a line and let us know what you thought about today's episode, what you want to hear us review in the future, what you think of episodes past, you can email us at cocoandalts@gmail.com. That's all one word, and the and is spelled out, cocoandalts@gmail.com. We are also on Facebook and Twitter. Our handles on both are Coco and Dalts. You can also find us on the interwebs at cocoandalts.com. If you're looking for other podcast episodes, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Pandora. I believe we're on TuneIn now. Mm-hmm. We're also on Google Play and YouTube. Have I forgotten anything
Soon
else?
to be on IMDb.
Soon to be on IMDb. We still have to figure out how to submit to that. But when we are there, we will let you know. Check us out on one of our many platforms. We'll put that announcement up. And please also rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. We will give you a shout out if you leave us a review, but please only make it be good. because we don't want to be like,
You suck.
this guy says that we referenced Ya Ya Ding Dong way too much. So
I don't think that's possible. I think if somebody were to say that in a review, then I would just delete that review. Because you can never have too much ya ya ding dong.
Can we delete reviews though? I don't know if we can.
Well, I don't mean like literally. I mean just
okay.
like,
we just will ignore
we're
it.
in the cancel culture. I
Yeah,
guess
that is true. Yeah, and don't cancel us.
No, but I would cancel that review.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So, that note.
Yes, for another episode. Thank you for listening. I'm Nadaltz.
And I'm not Coco.